this module is going to be dealing with layers, understanding layers, adjustment layers, and layer masks. Man, are we going to have some fun. This is where you're going to really start to see how your Photoshop documents can start to take shape. All right, so here's an image that is a multi-layered collage effect, if you will. Some people call it a postcard, whatever. It's just a group of images from a specific spot that actually tell a story about, you know, where this was. This was taken up in Alaska when I was on a cruise there a couple of years ago. So hence I'm using the cruise ship, you know, in there, and I've got a little white border and a drop shadow around that. There you go. That's setting the precedence for that sitting in that part of the image. Then to the right of that, I've got the Alaska flag in there. In the front of the PDF tutorial, if I'm not mistaken, I was actually using the postage stamp, but I decided to go away from that and then come over here and show or use the Alaskan flag. I thought that was a really nice, you know, version of the Alaskan flag. I got it from Google. All right, so whatever. As you can see inside the layers panel, down at the bottom all the way up to the top here, we have a number of things in the layers panel that I want to talk about. And in order for us to kind of move through that, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to move the image down and out of the way, and I'm going to bring this over to the forefront and the center here. All right, so now you saw a minute ago where I was showing you one and the other, and the way we do this is with these guys here. These are little eyeballs. They are layer visibility icons, and you saw me click on the eyeball to turn off and turn on different eyeballs so you can visually see different things in your image. Absolutely fantastic. Now, the next thing that I want to talk about is these guys up here. These guys are our blending modes, and I have a full module dealing with blending modes, and you've seen me use some of the blending modes in other tutorials in module 2, if I'm not mistaken. All right, so we've got those kind of things going on. We also have layer opacity. Layer opacity just deals with the density of your layer. All right, now the next thing underneath here is the fill. And depending on what is going on in your layer, the fill and the opacity have the same effect. Reducing the opacity and reducing the fill will have a similar result. But if you happen to have, like as an example, layer styles going on, then the opacity and fill have different visual end results. Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about is this guy right here. This is some text that I have there, and I have this effect, layer style, an effect, FX, adding some drop shadow and a little bit of a stroke. We can turn the eyeballs of these guys on and off. I'll do that in a second. I just wanted to go through some of these things on the layers panel without the distraction of the actual image. All right, so I can turn the eyeballs of the individual effects on and off. Okay, we can also double click on the effect and bring up a dialog box that will allow us to alter those effects. We'll get into that a little bit later on. I do want to discuss these guys down at the bottom of the panel here, so I'm just going to scoot this up and come across here, and here is the effects thing. So if I click on this, you can see that we have drop shadow and we have stroke, and we have a variety of other things in here that are really, really cool, and if you play around with them, you're probably going to find a great use for some of these things. Okay, that's that. This guy here is our layer mask icon. I'm just going to click on this guy here, and I want to show you that if I click on this, I add a layer mask. A layer mask will allow me to show and hide certain aspects of the components or pixels on that layer, and I can also paint on this layer mask using black, white, or shades of gray. A layer mask is a grayscale image. all right, according to Photoshop. And if I was to paint black, I would hide, and white will reveal. Right now, by default, layer masks that get created in Photoshop are all white. In other words, they reveal everything on the layer, and then it's up to you to, use a paintbrush to paint in areas that you want to hide. All right, I'm going to get rid of this, and there's a number of ways we can do this. I think what I'm going to do is just do a right click on here and choose to delete the layer mask. I don't want to have that. All right, now we have here is the adjustment layer icon, and we have a whole bunch of adjustments that are available to us. The same adjustments are available under the image adjustments flyout menu here. There's probably one or two in here that are not over here. All right, but for the most part, they're all in here, right there. So if I was to, as an example, create a levels adjustment layer. All right, now I've got the adjustment layer sitting over here. Well, okay, I chose curves, my mistake. All right, so I have a curves adjustment layer sitting here, and you can see here is the curves icon. Here is a layer mask by default, so any adjustment that I do make, I can actually show and hide certain aspects of that to either all of the layers below, or if I actually clip this to the layer immediately below, we'll get into clipping later on, all right, then I can just affect that layer immediately below, and then I can paint in certain areas to have it show or not hide and all that kind of nonsense. All right, so I'm going to undo that to get rid of that. I don't need that anymore. I'm just going to close this guy off. And over here is the create folder icon. And over here is the create new layer icon. Now, something you're going to start to notice as you start working around with these panels. In the lower right-hand corner of all of your panels, all right, you'll have the little trash cans. And you'll have a whole bunch of icons to the left of that. To the left of the trash can is always going to be your create new, whatever panel you're in, all right, icon. So in this case, I'm in the layers. It's the create new layer icon. If I was in my channels panel, it would be the create new channels panel. If I was in my paths panel, it would be the create new paths, okay, icon and all that kind of stuff. I think you're starting to get the idea with that kind of stuff. And of course, this guy is your little trash can. So if you accidentally make a duplicate of your layer like this and you don't want to have it, you can just drag down, and when you get your cursor over the trash can, release, and it's gone. Not much to worry about as far as that's concerned. This is pretty simple. Now, the thing that I want to show you, oh, look at this. Alaskan flag is at 85% opacity. See? All right. So now, and it's also in the darker color blending mode as opposed to being in normal at 100%. Okay. So now I want to talk about some of the new things that are in the layers panel. All right. And that has to do with these guys going across the top here. All right. These guys are all brand new in this version. I don't remember seeing them in CS5. They may have been there. I don't know. All right, I never saw them there. But we do have these guys up here. These guys down here, these are old. These guys have been around here for ages and ages. All right, these guys here, let me just quickly talk about these guys. They're all dealing with locking some aspect of your layer. All right, so this little guy here is a transparent icon. It looks like checkerboard, just like this. And what it does is it locks the transparent pixels. In other words, you're only going to affect the pixels on your layer. That's kind of interesting. It's a nice way to go about doing things. All right. Now, the other one over here is the lock your pixels. In other words, you can't edit them. You can only work in the transparent area. So it's kind of the opposite of this guy. All right. This one here is the lock direction movement, all right, or position. And then the last one is just locking everything down. Nothing can be changed, nothing can be altered. Now, locking something is as easy as just clicking on this and you get a little lock icon. All right. All I can say is if you're just doing something, if you're locking some aspect of your layer for the task at hand, don't forget to come back and unlock it. Okay, and you can click on this. They all produce locks. All right, now the only one that gives you that solid lock is the lock itself. That's locking every aspect. Every other one of these guys here, now let's take that off first and come over here and get this guy. You see they're kind of outlined and hollow. All right, and this guy here outlined and hollow, but this guy here is solid, meaning everything is shut down. All right, now the thing I want to talk about is these guys right across the top, and they're more of a, well, let's take a look at this. It's kind of like a filtering, and it's not a filter as in a photo filter, but it's a filter as far as showing, displaying different layers based on content. So, you know, when we're working in Bridge and we can filter things based on metadata, based on the focal length of your lens, based on a star rating that we've given or a color label, and that's filtering and only allowing you to see, not getting rid of, just only allowing you to see certain things based on some criteria. Well, here we go. So we've got this guy here, and we got, well, okay, we can actually filter by name. And then, you know, you can type in a name or whatever it is, and there you go. Filter by an effect. And if you have any effects, there you go. You can filter by blend modes. All right. You can filter by attributes. All right. Whether things are visible or not. All right. Locked, empty, linked, clipped. I mean, oh, good Lord. I mean, it's just unbelievable. And then you got color, you know, oh, geez, you know, it's just unbelievable. So you got all those different things here. Now, if I put my cursor over this guy and hold for a second, we're going to see that it filters for pixel-based layers. All right, so if you got a non-pixel based, which is a vector type text layer, then that'll get filtered out. Here we go, we can come over here and we can filter out just the adjustment layers. Over here, type layers, over here, shape layers, and over here, smart objects. All right, that is going to just end us for this at this point in time, and we'll move on and do some other interesting things in the next video.